Well, here in the United States, February is Black History Month, a time when we honor the triumphs and struggles of African Americans throughout U.S. history. As civil rights groups across the nation observe the occasion, others question if the actions of groups like Planned Parenthood tell a different story. And joining us tonight to discuss is Delano Squires, research fellow at the Heritage Foundation's Richard and Helen DeVos Center for Life, Religion, and Family. Delano, great to be with you tonight. First off, let's talk about Planned Parenthood and its history specifically as it pertains to the Black community.
Sure. Thank you for having me. Obviously, Planned Parenthood was founded by Margaret Sanger. I believe she opened her first birth control clinic in Brooklyn, New York, I want to say in 1916. And that clinic went on to become Planned Parenthood, and she's well known as a eugenicist, right? She believed that there were certain types of people, classes of people who would be better off not reproducing. And even though she spent, a large part of her career promoting birth control, Planned Parenthood now is the nation's largest abortion provider. And my contention in my recent column op-ed is that the civil rights organizations, the NAACP, the National Urban League, have taken up their cause because they seem to believe that depopulation is the civil rights issue of our time.
We hear so often, kind of piggybacking off of what you said, people talking about Black Lives Matter, but yet they're pushing and they're advocating for abortion and abortion on demand. Talk to us, Delano, about these messages, which really are at odds with each other.
Sure. And I mean, obviously a big part of the problem is the push for abortion on demand. But what I compare that to their, again, these civil rights organizations and particularly Black progressive leaders, they don't even talk about marriage and the importance of family formation and fatherhood. I noted that President Obama was probably the last national Democrat to talk about the importance of marriage. Now, obviously, he's still pro-abortion, but he at least talked about marriage and family formation. But now what you get from, again, those organizations that I mentioned is a nonstop push for abortion in the Black community. And in fact, when the Dobbs decision came down, the NAACP, the National Action Network, and the Urban League joined Planned Parenthood, NARAL, and a number of other abortion activist groups to write a letter demanding a meeting with the White House to talk about how Black women will be the real victims of pro-life legislation now that Roe had been struck down. So it is a very perverse way of seeing the world. As I said, these people seem to think that it is better for a Black baby to be aborted than born to a poor Black mother.
Yeah, it's a terrible concept to grasp. I want to talk about the connection between fatherhood and ideal social outcomes. I know that you've talked about the importance of fatherhood and also of marriage and the ramifications of it all breaking down in society. Talk to us more about that and why that's so important to family.
Sure. I mean, the left, as you know, talks a lot about systems and institutions, but family is the one structure that they seem not to want to touch. And obviously, I believe that fatherhood is important. I believe every child has a right, not just to financial support, but also the love, the care, and affection of both a mother and a father. I think every child has a need for maternal and paternal love. But I always root that message in marriage because I believe that marriage is the best structural enabler of father involvement. Because unfortunately, the one thing that they're not making more of is time. And if you're a man that has 3 children by 3 different women, it's impossible for you to be in 3 different homes at one time. So I think, as I said, fatherhood is critically important. All right, fathers tend to interact with their children in different ways. They teach them different lessons, generally speaking. But I don't want to disembody fatherhood from the larger sort of family structure conversation. So that's why I think we should promote, and I talk about in the piece, the success sequence that shows that for young people in their 20s who finish school, high school, get a job, and then marry before having children, by the time they reach their mid 30s, people who follow that sequence have a single-digit poverty rate, and that's across ethnic lines. So that's one thing that I think that we should push, and I think that these civil rights organizations should push with more passion and fervor than they do abortion on demand.
Yeah, and we're going to leave it right there. Delano, great to be with you. Wonderful insights, and hope to have you back. God bless you.
Thank you.